There's always a point in time in an artist's career where they either put out a song or a project that deems them to be untouchable, and very rarely do they ever have the ability to completely back it up, to have a full 360 of coverage of topics on a record, and then ultimately bring themselves back to the main purpose to show that there is no one in their lane, no one can touch them, nobody can mess with them. And honestly, I see this record to be one of those, as well as the one that had come out before this. Now, when I first listened to Anonymous, I listened to his Urameshi EP, and I had no idea who this dude was. I just came into it and heard all of the insane talent that he had, as well as the production that he chose for the Urameshi EP, and I really enjoyed it. So, when the next record came out, which is There Is No Threat, I was automatically attracted to it. I picked it up, listened to it, and I enjoyed it front to back. And there aren't that many people out in the music industry that can withhold that vision of being an artist that's untouchable. You can only represent so much of the hip-hop scene before you start to be overlooked in certain aspects. There may be something about your wordplay or your inflection when you're going about your verse, and just the way that you do things, that people will be automatically turned away from you. But it seems to be that Anonymous does everything correctly. He always keeps you attracted, he always keeps your attention at the forefront, and you're paying attention to what he's saying. Not just how he's saying it, but what he's saying. And that's honestly one of the most forgotten things. There are so many people that listen to how someone's saying it and not what they're saying. And that's just not how that should work. When you listen to a record, it should be that whole-bodied experience. It shouldn't just be, oh yeah, that bar was nice, or oh wow, he did something weird with his voice there. I mean, I'm not calling out names, Kendrick Lamar, but there are certain times where you need to just listen to what someone is saying and not what kind of effects are on their voice. So, as I went through this record, I was as thoroughly pleased as I was with Urameshi, but when I started listening to it, it was a total, just a change of atmosphere. It was something that he wanted to make as a whole-bodied project to let everyone know that was new and old as a fan that he's not one to be messed with. He wanted to put the credibility behind the title of There Is No Threat. There's no threat against him. He is the threat. Now, as I got into the project, Sundown was a good way to start it because that ultimately, for me, shown to be the reintroduction to him. I hadn't listened to Urameshi in a long time, so that was a nice lead-in, and then Feel So Good Part 2 started up, and I knew this was going to be a totally different project. But when I got to a song like Zion, which features Swersy, hopefully I said that correctly, it was very forward for Swerzy's part, and I was kind of taken aback because the way that the beat switched up at the end of it, it was something that showed his versatility as well. So Swersy, you did a very good job verse and taking over the song as a whole. So I give you an ultimate pat on the back for that, and your verse was actually very well written. I'm not just saying that based off the fact that you adjusted to the beat change. So Anonymous, good on you for grabbing Swersy for this record. As the record goes on, it shows the different aspects that Anonymous wants to touch on, like the personal songs, or the Forget That Girl kind of song, or I'm Not Dealing With Your Bullshit song, as in fake shit. And then it ultimately comes to the end with There Is No Threat, or No Threat, which features Denzel Curry. And I was very excited when I heard this song because coming off of Taboo last year, Denzel had a stellar year. And it was a very powerful record for him to at least leave a mark on the industry. So for him to come in with a buddy of his and still do as well as he did with that record, it still shows that they're both lyrically talented and they're in a league of their own. But they still show, at least as a full circle effect, that to both of them, there is no threat. And I think that's all I have to say on this record. I highly recommend you guys listen to it. I know it seems like all I do is review decent records on here, but it's all in how you listen to it. And there are going to be some records in the future I'm not going to like. I can feel it coming. It's going to be a weird year for hip-hop. Lil Uzi's back. And that might just gravitate me towards the record. I can feel it coming. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. My name is Ethan, otherwise known as Two-Face. This is my show, Claws. If you're just finding out about the channel, leave a like, a comment, or subscribe if you enjoyed it. As well as if you still are watching these videos, tune in next week when I review the brand new Wildcard mixtape, Gravity Hurts. Until then, stay selfish, enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter if you're in the U.S., by the way, and peace.